3, 2, 1.
Welcome everybody to episode 46 of the ADV podcast. As usual, we have quite a show in store for you. We're going to be talking about some very important things today.
Still waiting for the day that we don't have important things to talk about.
If we don't have anything important to talk about, we just won't have a show.
That's true. Or we could have a fun show.
Yeah, we could have a fun
bonanza.
Show. Absolutely. So let's get right into it, everybody. We'll start with, of course, what's new, which is where we talk about what's new with regards to China. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple of things.
Don't need my approval.
Well, what's new in today's What's New segment is something that's not so new. Okay.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, a week ago.
Yeah.
We always like to start What's New with something fun.
Yeah.
And we thought this was rather fun.
Yeah.
By the way, maybe the chat out there, because you guys are watching live, for those of you not live and listening, there is a man that is a presenter for Fox News on the top left. I don't know his name. But I will say this: he literally looks like he's made of Lego. He looks like a Lego man.
The top left there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I don't watch Fox News.
Neither do I. But that's what I'm saying. Someone out there is gonna know.
Yeah.
Do you think he looks like a Lego man?
He does look a bit bizarre.
Anyway, why are we looking at this?
Well, okay. I'm a little ignorant about this, but basically, they were having some kind of debate. Yeah, some kind of debate about why Trump should be impeached pretty much just before he was going to step out of office or whatever, right? And this is Harold Ford Jr., former Tennessee representative. He's a Democrat, right?
Okay.
And he has a picture of Mao Zedong on his wall.
Not a good look.
No, it's not a good look because, everyone kind of accuses the Democrats of being socialist or communist or whatever. So if you've got a pretty high-profile Democrat, in an interview showing that he actually has Mao Zedong on the wall.
It's a pretty big, like the really far right people, it's a pretty big stretch to call like very centrist Democrats socialists, you know what I mean? Like in American politics, like someone that's left in the EU is much further left than a Democrat in America. My point is, it's not a good look when you want to kind of get away from that stereotype when you have a painting of Chairman Mao.
I know. In his defense, that is like an Andy Warhol version of it, so it's kind of an artsy version. But I mean, you wouldn't have an artsy version of Hitler above your fireplace or Stalin.
This version, if you took that to China, it might be considered slightly offensive.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't like it. In fact, I'm pretty sure that you're not allowed to deface it.
But it reminds me of the Chavez t-shirts or whatever.
Che
Guevara. Sorry, Chavez. Sorry.
Sanchez.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I meant.
The thing is, I remember that guy got into...
Chavez is a socialist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Hugo Chavez.
Hugo.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Anyway, go ahead.
There was a guy who threw rotten eggs at the portrait of Mao at Tiananmen Square, and he got taken away.
And then the ink.
Yeah, another situation. You can't deface the portrait of Mao in any way in China. You will get into trouble.
Holy crap.
But yeah, the whole thing
He removed it, by the way.
Oh, he removed the Mao?
For like a later interview.
Oh, he did? Yeah. Oh, probably because of the outrage. It is in poor taste.
Of course.
I mean, here's the thing. From what I've observed from American politics is, if you're on the left, people label you as like this crazy liberal socialist wannabe communist, and if you're on the right in any way, people label you as like an alt-right Nazi, that kind of thing. So let's just say you were a right-wing guy or Republican, and you had Hitler on the wall. It's kind of the same thing, isn't it? Even if it was an Andy Warhol version of Hitler. Sure. It kind of has the same message.
It actually just shows you how, I hate using this word, but how toxic the whole vitriol is around like what you're affiliated or aligned with, because like the average person isn't all the way over on the left or on the right. The average person is somewhere in the middle, and those people get along with each other. That's the average person, the majority. But when this kind of stuff happens, it really just pushes things all the way over to the left or right. In this guy's case, I do think it's in poor taste. At the same time, I get why it's not that big of a deal, but I thought it was hilarious.
I think it's ignorance.
I think it is pure ignorance.
And I think
you should educate yourself.
I think a lot of people are very ignorant as to who Mao Zedong is and what he did.
I hate to play this, but it is cultural ignorance. I'm not going to use the racism word, but
the guy's got a reclining Buddha and a Confucius statue.
Yeah, which Mao is very against.
Yeah, right underneath Mao. Yeah. Mao destroyed that.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
No.
My point is there's some cultural ignorance, which is not fair to do to China. If you want to understand China, whether you're going to be positive or negative about the government, you should have an understanding about it.
Yeah.
And you can't just, like you said, putting a picture of Hitler up on your wall, everyone is going to think you're a psychopath, right? But for some reason, you're not a psychopath to put up Mao, who killed more people, right? Now, Hitler's motivations may have been more sinister, but the fact of the matter is both of these men were powerful men that did horrendous, heinous things to millions and millions of people.
Right.
Extinguished lives.
Sure.
And to put, like, you wouldn't put Hitler's picture up, would you?
Well, yeah, no, but I can come back at you because when you're in China, you will often see people with like the swastika stickers on their stuff.
Nazi stuff's all over.
Iron cross belt buckles and things.
But this is America. You should be educated in this.
Exactly, he should. But in China, a lot of the people I spoke to actually said they have a lot of respect for Hitler.
Yeah, of course. We talked about this many
exactly.
times.
So
Very common.
It's kind of a different vibe for a different culture.
It is.
But the fact of the matter is he should have known better.
He's not Chinese.
No.
So you don't hang that up. Because if you're Chinese and you're hanging that up, it just means you don't know actually what happened.
I honestly think he probably didn't know anything.
No, I know.
Like,
and that's why I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But
it's like, it's like those people wearing the Che Guevara T-shirts or whatever.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Hugo Chavez T-shirt.
Yeah, the whatever, the horrible
I'm
man.
sorry I mixed them up.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much what's new.
Shout out to Stonks, by the way. Everyone's just going ape with Stonks in the chat.
Oh, excellent.
Because of the GameSpot thing.
It's hilarious. I'm loving the GameSpot.
We love the troll.
Thing. Yep, it's really funny. Anyway, guys, so we're going to quickly answer a super chat or two, and we're going to move on to our main topic today.
Winnie the Pooh says, Uncle Shi uses soft power because he can't get hard. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Well,
we've discussed this before in an ADVChina video, but there is actually a big problem in China with men's health.
Yeah,
that's why you get that konnan-ke.
Yeah,
all these like it's called.
Well, it's women's health as well.
Yeah,
reproductive health.
Both. Yeah,
reproductive hospitals are everywhere.
But it's everywhere. It's one of the biggest adverts you see around the places. It's always on the buses. It's on the billboards. Yeah. And it's obviously there's a lot of reproductive issues, and it's got to do with the poor environment, the pollution, the diet, the
metals in the soil,
all that kind of stuff. So, smoking, dude, smoking, holy crap! Anyway, go. I
called it GameSpot, not GameStop.
GameStop.
I'm sorry.
GameSpot's the one that doesn't know how to review Cyberpunk.
Yeah, okay. That was atrocious.
It was terrible.
Holy crap. Mm-hmm. Charles Womack says, I'm a U.S. Army reservist. Thank you for your service. In the intel field, should I study Xi Jinping thought to better understand the enemy? Is this a worthwhile endeavor for me? You won't understand Chinese people in general, but you will understand the theory behind Xi Jinping's rule. Yeah. It would be, it's not going to cost you nothing but time, right, to look into it.
It might make you dumber.
Might make you dumber. But, there's no harm in it.
Yeah.
Masiada, does CCP actually care about the ideals of communism? They actually hate communism.
No. Yeah.
Students that join the Communist Youth League and then continue into their college years, what they'll do is they'll fight for unions and things like that and workers' rights and the actual communist tenets that Mao tried to promote. Speaking of which,
Mao's still up there in the background.
Orange background Mao.
Yeah.
What they'll do is they'll actually fight for workers' rights and unions, and China will imprison them.
Yes.
Shut them down. They'll take down their leaders. China despises communism. They like communist ideology in that it is justified within communism to have an authoritarian leader until that shift is made. So it's this kind of mystical thing that someday we're going to have a pure socialist system, right? A communist system. But in fact, it's so far removed from that. It's just a fascist dictatorship.
That's why they call it socialism with Chinese characteristics.
Yeah, they had to even change the name.
They always add with Chinese characteristics. That means it's actually not what it is. It's whatever we decide it is.
Yeah.
I make up the rules as I go along.
It's literally what it is. It's take every connotation or label of what the political system in China is, throw it out the window, and just realize it's a fascist dictatorship.
That's all it is. It's all it is. Yeah. Where they give you a little bit of freedom to earn money and whatever, but step out of the bounds in either way and you're in trouble.
Correct. I'll just do one more.
Yeah.
Thank you to DOX360. Thank you very much. And Madrox03. China and COVID backdoor swabs. Discuss. So China just instituted anal swabs for COVID testing. And the reason is, part of it makes sense, is that COVID lives longer, not as long in the back of your throat and in your nose as it does in your anus because of the fecal matter and things.
Sure.
So they're doing that for longer testing. Now, whether that's a publicity stunt or actually effective is remain to be seen.
Can we actually just talk about the fact that there are outbreaks in China that they've had to acknowledge now?
Unbelievable amounts now. It's crazy.
They actually have to acknowledge it, but of course they acknowledge it by downplaying it. Oh, Shanghai just got six.
It's the typical
things.
Liars. Yeah. The liars things, like when you meet a compulsive liar.
Yeah.
And you catch them out so many times. So what they do instead is they try to like soften the blow.
Sure.
So it's kind of like, I don't know what a good analogy is, but I jumped over like 3 cars with my BMX bike or something.
Sure.
And then it's like, no, you didn't. Shut up. And then like later on down the road, they'll be like, yeah, you're right. I'd only jumped over 1 car.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
I thought it was 3.
I thought it was 3, but meanwhile, they can't even ride a bike.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's kind of, that's what the CCP does.
Yeah.
They're seeing, we've told you this a million times, guys. They adapt. They adapt constantly. The Wu Maos adapt. The Chinese government adapts for the soft power technique. It's not always the same. And what they do is now they'll say, yes, we do have another outbreak, right? But number 1, it's not our fault. From the outsiders, from foreigners.
Yeah.
And number 2, it's 9 people. So they'll be like, we're doing everything we can. This is a lot. We have 9 cases. And then people in like America or whatever are watching the news or something, and they're like, 9? We had like 900,000 today or whatever, you know what I mean? So they're like, oh, China's got
Yeah, because it justifies locking down the whole of Shanghai or whatever
Right.
for 9 cases. That's the stupid thing, is they think that everyone's dumb.
Yeah.
Why would you lock down
people are,
an
unfortunately.
entire province or, an entire city?
Yeah, we're
because-
talking 100 million people in Hebei or in Henan.
Why? Because you had 3 cases. It doesn't work that way.
No.
It's because it's getting out of hand that they cannot suppress it anymore, that they have to lock things down, and then they're just like, oh, it's just a little few people.
Another thing they're trying to hide recently is that the hospitals are filling up. I actually watched, and I'll leave her unnamed. This had nothing to do with China. She's a Chinese girl.
Yeah.
She put out a video about her grandmother couldn't get a hospital bed.
Yeah.
Up in somewhere in northern China. Mm-hmm. And it was because it was so full of COVID patients. Right. She wasn't doing an expose. It has nothing to do with this, but she mentioned it in passing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I started asking people, a lot of the hospitals are actually almost at full capacity because they have so many cases coming back.
Yeah, but they don't write them down as COVID. They write them down as like pneumonia or flu or whatever.
Right.
And that's because, once again, we've seen what happened when there was this outbreak in Hubei now. The top officials that are in charge of the province have all been punished severely for letting the breakout happen as if it's their fault.
Yeah, of course.
And that's why, if you are a government official in charge of a province or a city or a town or a village or whatever it is, and there are COVID outbreaks in your population, the last thing you will do is report it, because you know that you're going to get into trouble. You will be made a scapegoat. You will be sacrificed, in front of everyone, which is what we see every time there is a breakout. The top guys get punished. So what do? They find ways to excuse it as if it's not there. They either just kind of hope that the people get better, or if they die, they write down different reasons why they died. They don't report to the central government. And this is why so many people starved under Mao as well. It's the same thing, because they were too afraid to tell the higher up that they're not reaching the quotas for the grain and stuff.
It's the quota fallacy is the problem in China.
Absolutely.
All of China works on this logic.
So the fact that you're seeing actual, real lockdowns, and there's more activity around this. People are now wearing masks again, where they started to ease off on it a bit. You're starting to see big things coming into play. It's only because it's reached a point that it can no longer be hidden.
Right.
So it's been there all along.
Right.
Just so everyone knows. Don't be fooled.
No.
Anyways,
don't be a fool.
Time for us to get into our main topic, which is Soft Power Hour.
Yes.
So where we talk about how China kind of changes your mind and fools you and whatnot through soft power.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of a weird soft power because we're talking about trains in this one.
Yeah.
But
there's a couple things.
Yeah, we're also going to be our worldview one today is very important. Mm-hmm. It kind of should be soft power, to be honest.
Oh, whatever. But mix it up.
We've got a long one. Let's get into it. So what we're talking about today is Adobe Flash. Do you remember Adobe Flash?
I sure do. It's a flash in the pan.
Do you call it Adobe or Adobe?
Adobe.
Okay, I used to call it Adobe. Back in the day.
Well, I mean, it's a Native American word, right? So we grew up around all that. Like every town around where I grew up is in a Native American word.
Okay. So
I get it.
Why is it not with an I then?
Because it's a different language.
Makes sense.
Anyway.
All right.
Adobe. Very popular still. Well, why don't you, from the tech perspective, why don't you explain why we don't use Adobe anymore and what it is?
Well, I'm sure everybody from back in the day, in the early days of the internet, remembers Adobe Flash.
You never know. There might be some youngins.
Basically, it allowed you to inject multimedia into your websites. So whether
Macromedia.
Whether it be a little video, a little animation, a little sound, something like that. But it got taken to a point where people were designing entire games using Flash. You could have
it's
entire...
like newgrounds.com, right?
Yeah, Shockwave. That used Shockwave, but whatever.
Shockwave, yeah.
Same shit. So basically, you could do all sorts of things like program, or you could even make cartoons. And in China, they actually make full-on TV shows just using Flash.
That's right.
You've seen it before.
Yeah.
And on the buses and stuff, all the announcements and stuff, they look like they've been put together using Adobe Flash.
That's right.
So anyway, fact of the matter is, it's been part of the internet for a long time, but it has serious security vulnerabilities. Because you're injecting multimedia into a website like that, you can inject malicious code. You can inject all sorts of things, and it's always been a problem. So as an IT administrator, like I was in the past, it's my old profession before I went to China.
The oldest profession.
The oldest profession was being an IT network administrator. We would constantly battle all these vulnerabilities, and we would have to ban things like Flash on certain computers that were connected to sensitive networks. We weren't allowed to install that kind of crap on servers. Sure. The usual thing. Anyway, it kind of reached a point where Adobe decided, you know what, that's that. It's too difficult to keep fighting all these security vulnerabilities. Sure. We're just going to shut it down. The new HTML's come out, the new format, the new standard. We're just going to get rid of Flash. We don't need it anymore, because now with the new HTML standards, you can just do this stuff natively anyway.
Right.
So they shut down Flash worldwide. All support for Flash was just completely shut down. Mm-hmm. And what happened?
Well, this happened. The thing happening behind us. Yeah. Thanos came and got rid of the Flash logo, which actually turned out to affect the train system, the high-speed rail system in Dalian. Dalian's in northern China. Yeah. It's an ex-Japanese and ex-Russian settlement.
It's an interesting cool place, yeah.
Now, the problem is when you run your high-speed rail timetables off of Flash, you're going to run into some issues. Yeah. This is not the first thing that China, like the first time China's run into security vulnerabilities in the tech sphere, but they'll come after this. Sure. Anyway, you can see in this WeChat thing, everyone's scrambling. Yeah. They're basically saying, like, we need to downgrade the Flash. You guys obviously can't read this. It says we need to downgrade the Flash version. Yeah. And so they had to find a pirated version of Flash
to get it working.
An older one to get it working and to get the timetables back up. Because if the trains, you're explaining, if the trains are, obviously you're running the timetables, the trains will collide if they're running at the same time.
Obviously.
And this has happened before.
Sure.
This has happened before. In 2011, in Wenzhou, it was the first high-speed fail.
High-speed fail, yeah.
Not to make a joke about that. People died. 40 people died. 192 people were injured.
I still think it's a good thing to say high-speed fail.
It is. Yeah. It was a high-speed fail. Yeah. It's actually, the train is running at a very low speed, though. 62 miles an hour.
Low-speed fail.
Unlike this stat boy today.
Yeah.
So anyway, this happened before. That was a signal failure. But my point is, there are security vulnerabilities surrounding the high-speed rail system. Mm-hmm. And this is one that was exposed. And it was just funny. They were scrambling to get this working. How many times have you seen on like the Public Security Bureau or a police station or like a massive billboard like about national security or something, and it'll be like a blue screen of death?
Yeah, Windows XP. Yeah. I think those of you out there maybe haven't clicked yet, but
I put some pictures in.
China was running up in Dalian their very important high-speed rail timetable system on Adobe Flash. This is about as charbador as you can get, because rather than developing their own database or their own system in-house or buying the correct program, they used something as crappy as a free plugin for a web browser. Sure. And you see this a lot. I come from an IT background, so when I first went to China in 2006, I thought to myself, maybe I can find some work in the IT field here. Of course, I found out later that as a foreigner, you're not allowed to. No. You can't. It's just not possible. No. You need to get a job that's a foreign expert
People think you can just go to China and
you can't. You can't be a waitress or a normal worker of any kind. You can't just go into construction. You can't do anything, because they're very protectionist, and you can if it's a job that a local Chinese person can do, you can't do it.
They'll take our jobs.
Yeah, it's actually like that. So you need to have an expertise in your field.
You can work for a foreign company.
There are some things you can do. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, I was blown away, because I came from a proper enterprise system where you've got things set up correctly with servers and licensing and proper networks with massive big server racks and switches and all the patch panels and everything. And you go to China and you see the biggest companies running on like Soho equipment, small office, home office equipment. Yeah. They'll have like a little hub, maybe. This is, early time when I got there. And they'll run everything off Windows XP, and very all pirated software. Nothing is legit. There's no licenses involved. There's no servers. It's like everything's just
Don't get me
running.
started.
Yeah,
You're talking about companies that I was in the university sphere at that time. Every computer is running Windows XP, but then they switched because they got hit with this in 2017. They got hit with this virus. I think it's called So Sorry or something.
Okay.
Or like I'm so sad or something. Cry Me a River or some shit.
Yeah, Want to Cry or something.
Want to Cry. It's called Want to Cry.
I think that's what it was.
Want to Cry. It's like a little taunt.
Yeah.
Because there was no security support from Microsoft for Windows XP.
Yeah.
Yet China was continuing. I'm talking about my university was using this shit in 2017.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They eventually, because of this security vulnerability, switched it over to something, which you can go to the next picture.
Yeah.
Called Sanlioleng.
Oh man, Sanlioleng's my nightmare.
Let me tell you about Sanlioleng.
Oh,
I took this little photo with from Google. I thought this was apt because it's on fire. Now, Sanlioleng was this is hilarious to me. I did a little research about this.
Yeah.
Because I've dealt with the software for so long. If you go to China and you use any Windows computer there, they're going to have Sanlioleng, either the browser or the OS, the operating system. So Sanlioleng came out in like 2005, 2006. But before they did, they had to join the Great Firewall project. So they basically had to sign their soul over to the devil, to the Chinese government, to say, we will capitulate with you to block whatever you want to do. So unlike like Windows XP or whatever, where you can use Internet Explorer and a VPN, Sanlioleng will encode block anything already preemptively for the Great Firewall of China. It's like directly pipeline into the Great Firewall of China.
Yeah.
So you ain't getting around anything with Sanlioleng. Now, number two, before they even made a browser or an OS, it was actually just anti-malware software.
Sure.
But it was malware.
Yes.
If you go on any of the Chinese articles that I was reading, it was a piece of malware from the get-go, and it got so bloated and so insane that when my university switched over to Sanlioleng, they used the anti-malware thing, they used the browser, and they used the operating system. It would come up with like softcore porn ads
all the time.
in class, to the point where the kids didn't even notice. It was just shit all over the screen. It was just viruses.
Let me put it into layman's terms. First of all, if you can see the logo for Sanlioleng, it's just a knockoff of the Internet Explorer logo, except it's green. It's supposed to be an all-in-one antivirus thing. It's free, okay? 99.9% of the computers and the people I know in China install this on there, okay? The Sanlioleng thing. Because it's a whole suite of everything you could ever need. It's got special translation tools built into it. It's got special ways to write Chinese and stuff built into it. It's got all sorts of things built in. It's like an all-in-one. You get a fresh install of a computer, you install this, and it's got everything you'd ever need.
Correct.
Right? Including its own browser, like you said, and all that kind of thing. But it's bloated, it's rubbish, it's full of, malware. Like it's just the worst of the worst. So it's a completely different ecosystem is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
And the way China runs, the companies run their networks and stuff is very amateur. It's as if, I don't know if you ever went to like a LAN gaming back in the 90s like I used to do. That's kind of how China runs its big companies. It's just a bunch of ad hoc crap stuck together, and it works with like chewing gum and wire, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that something as important as high-speed rail timetables would be, linked to Flash.
Well, I have a double whammy of why that happened as well. And the problem is because the rest of the world knew about the Flash shutdown.
Sure.
I mean, no one's using Flash anyway because, like we said, if you're not computer savvy, China is using Flash because they're so slow to change the things.
Yeah.
And it's partially due to censorship and the Great Firewall of China. The way things just don't progress.
Yeah.
And actually, because of censorship, that's why China fell victim to the whole timetable mishap with Flash.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the world got the news on tech blogs, GitHub, all this kind of stuff. And then at the same time, China had blocked all the news. It was all censored. So it didn't penetrate the Chinese internet. Yeah. So the people didn't know that Flash was going down. So they could have prevented all of this.
Yeah.
There was warning ahead of time.
That's it, because they were disconnected. It's such a disconnected thing.
Yeah.
And they rely so much on Western technology. I know a lot of people don't think this, but China really does when it comes to software and operating systems for their phones and for their computers. They keep trying to make their own homegrown stuff, like Huawei made that Harmony OS. It's just Android.
Yeah, it's not new.
It's just vanilla open source Android that they've added some skins to. They rely on Western software and technology to run everything.
Sure.
And the chips and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, we thought this was quite relevant because this is very much what China is all about. Chabador, let's run important systems off of garbage security vulnerability software, and this is what happened. It actually shut down their rails. And the fact that they actually had to scramble and install older pirated versions of Flash in order to get their train timetable up and running again, it just shows you just how ridiculous it is.
For those of you saying there's no such thing as a pirated version of Flash, we're not saying it was illegal, because I know Flash is free, I understand. Sure. The point is, it was a hacked, cracked version to make it work in the old version.
Absolutely, yeah.
So anyway, we're peaking quite a bit.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, let's just move the mic
okay.
a little bit. Okay.
Peking duck?
Peking duck. All right. Should we do super chats before the next part?
I think we should. Let's do some super chats before we continue on. Right, guys. Stick around for the worldview one. Trust me, it's interesting.
Mao Di Mighty. Actually, we have more soft power.
Oh, we do. Yeah. So stick around for more soft power.
Mao Di Mighty. 你好，我是加拿大人。我不是，我是美国人。The CCP is stinky bum.
Okay. All right.
Why do you gotta do this to me? Okay. Karim de Abreu. Chavez was a socia. There's a similar design of him, but only the eyes, and the Venezuelan government gave free tattoos of Chavez's eyes and signatures. So yeah, it wasn't too far off the mark. Yeah,
free tattoos? Is that for like all those college kids that go fly down there to live their socialist dream?
Yeah, I think if they end up in Venezuela, they're going to be quickly changing their socialist dream real fast.
But they get a free tattoo as a souvenir.
Very, very true.
Never heard of that. I certainly don't want one.
No, let's go get it. Saptarshi. No, if we went to Venezuela, they'd probably just sell us to China. Saptarshi Sengupta. What are your opinions in traveling on the Chinese high-speed rails? Trains, are they better than Japan's? China tried to sell their HSR tech to my country, India, for many years, but Japan succeeded.
I am going to tell you, absolutely not better than Japan's at all.
No.
Look, China's technology is newer because it's been implemented recently. It's comfortable. Okay, when you're talking about the actual technology of the train, because I've taken the high-speed rail a lot in China. Yeah, we've both taken it a lot. The train rides very comfortably, very fast.
Yeah, it's
very efficient as far as that's concerned. But the travel experience is always awful.
It's not good.
There's, it's an unfortunate thing that in China there's still a lack of education with a lot of the populace, especially from the more rural areas. So every time you try to get on, there'll be someone sitting in your seat, even though you've paid for that seat, and there's always an argument to get them out, an old woman or old man. You'll have someone eating guazi, those like sunflower seeds, and throwing the shells everywhere. There'll be noisy kids running around, and people disobeying, like, you're not supposed to put your heavy luggage up at the top there. So the stewardess will have to come there and ask them to take it down, and they're all rude, and it's always a big thing. It can be quite a horrible experience, to be honest, to travel on the high-speed rail. But the technology itself is good. However, the Shinkansen in Japan, which I've traveled on a lot too, is fantastic. And the reason being is the etiquette and politeness. You're not allowed to speak on your phone when you're on there. There are actually signs everywhere. So everyone's quiet. People don't make a lot of noise. It's all about making the journey pleasant for everyone. The bento boxes that you can buy in the train stations are amazing. It's part of the whole experience. You get really good food, So it's an incredibly pleasant experience from start to finish on the Japanese high-speed rail. And in China, it's a struggle. You end up at the other side getting off feeling worn out because of all the noise and the kids running around the nonsense.
I will counter that by saying I actually rode first class on the high-speed rail because there was no more tickets left for the regular ones when I was up in Dongbei with my wife. Yeah. And I rode in the first class train. There's only like 6 seats or something, and one of the people was the mayor of Changchun, which is the city I was leaving.
That's interesting.
That was quiet.
I've been in the first class, but what kind of train was that? Because like the CRH. Yeah. But the one between Shenzhen and Guangzhou, for instance, they've got a first class. It's called first class.
No, the one in Dongbei is much nicer than the one in Guangdong. Yeah,
I guess it's a different thing. Yeah,
it's newer. Well, it was back then. My point is, agree with you. It is still, because it's quite affordable on the normal class tickets, which I usually went on, obviously. Sure. That made money.
Sure.
But that was pretty miserable. In that it's just like a slight upgrade of a normal train that goes fast. But I'll rank them. China was here. Germany was number 3 for me. Japan was number 2 for me. Number 1 for me is Taiwan. And I'll tell you why. Right. It's almost as quiet and nice as Japan's. The bento boxes are just as good, and it's much cheaper than Japan's.
Right.
So that's why I give
actually, I've been on the Taiwan one, but
of course. It's so limited. Convenient.
It is,
though.
Yeah.
You can go from Taipei to Kaohsiung in a couple hours.
Yeah.
And you stop off like 14 stops in between. So you can get off at any city in Taiwan pretty much, except for the East Coast. It's pretty cool.
It is really nice. I still prefer the Japan one, but I agree with you. It's really, really good. The Taiwan one is fantastic.
Cool. Let's do this real quick. Mark Little, thank you very much. J-Man, nice guy.
By the way, just wanted to add, the high-speed rails, one more thing, is that they don't stop selling tickets once the seats have run out. They sell standing room tickets. So
but I didn't want to buy that.
No, I'm saying that, but let's just say you do get a seat and you sit there. You have people with their ass pressing up against your face because they're all crowded.
I also hate when people take your seat. They have a standing ticket, but they'll take your seat.
They do it all the time.
Yeah.
Every time. Almost. I'll say, okay, I'll be fair. Maybe 70% of the times I took the high-speed rail, there was someone in my seat. And there has to be an argument.
Always.
Because they're like, so what? You can sit wherever you want.
Like, I'm old. No. I'm blah, blah. And they're like, then you feel bad.
Yeah, sure.
And then you're like, gosh,
No. But yeah, you have to understand that type of person. They're made out of steel. You don't need to feel bad for them. They're like the hardest.
Yeah, you feel bad, but they don't feel bad.
No, they don't feel anything.
Not the Lost Generation.
They'll destroy the world, and they don't care. Yeah.
We're talking about the Lost Generation.
The Lost Generation, yeah.
Anyway, this guy says, been binging on your old videos. Your wives are beautiful, but I think Winston and Sea Milk are more like married couple yourselves. I guess.
All right.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the anime person without a name. All right, let's move on to the next. So
next part of soft power. Oh yeah, this. How about you start off with this, because this makes me angry.
Yeah, I mean, with that logic, it's like you're saying that I'm happy that this is happening.
No, but maybe you can articulate yourself better, because I'd be just angry.
All right, for the national defense of my country, please pay attention. Obviously, you already know this stuff.
Sure.
But if for some reason you didn't, if you're watching, China just bought a very small island in the Bahamas called Bird Cay. Mm-hmm. And Bird Cay is actually on the route of the U.S., some of the most important U.S. naval exercises.
Right. And so it's just to spy.
Yes. So
why would you want to buy the Bird Cay?
The Bahamas is not part of the U.S., unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So they were like, all right, fine.
Sure.
So they bought that. That is something to watch out for.
Mm.
I saw that on... Actually, a friend of mine sent that to me.
Yeah.
Perhaps more importantly... There is that he's ex-PLA, People's Liberation Army. I believe he's a general. Correct me if I'm wrong.
All right.
So People's Liberation Army dude, we'll call him a dude from China.
Sure.
He's a military dude, and he bought 200 square miles of Texas.
Okay. Because you just sell...
Because that's what you do.
You sell your land to a foreign
This is what
military.
you do, America. I'm so proud of my country right now. You just take your land and you sell it to literally an enemy government.
Yeah.
Like an entity of an enemy government. Right?
Sure.
This is not some rich dude that wanted to buy a piece of Texas. This is someone connected to the People's Liberation Army.
Sure.
Bought a 200 square mile piece of Texas, and they just put in a commercial size runway. Now, why do you speculate that someone would do this?
Well, it's very easy to smuggle things in and out.
Or people.
I mean,
Jack Ma has used this, by the way.
Here's the thing. There's no customs there, right?
I doubt it. I mean, you could skirt customs, theoretically.
I'm thinking, because it's private land, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, there probably is something like people...
I mean, have to...
If they land there, they're probably not allowed to leave as property, let's just say.
Correct.
But how easy would it be to bring people, anyone in or out? Spies escaping, bringing spies in, smuggling out important sensitive
I mean, you'd
goods.
have to think that intelligence is watching this.
I'm sure, but still, it's still absurd that a PLA general, ex-PLA general, you're never actually ex-PLA.
You're not if you're part of the Chinese government, you're not ex-anything.
Yeah, you're part of the Chinese government.
Unless you're like a clerk or something. Or you work
unless
for
you're
one
a dissident.
Sure. But I'm talking about like if you just work for one of the departments that does city management or something. Sure. But we're talking about the military here, guys. This guy has contacts, obviously. You don't just wash yourself of all your contacts.
You can't. And because it's so ingrained in everything you do in your family and everything back home, they can put pressure on you.
Yeah.
You know? So you've got an ex-PLA general opening up an airstrip in a massive piece of land that he's bought in Texas. Right. I mean, just think of it. Take any other nationality. Say... Take a U.S. military general. Do you think China would let him buy a huge swath of land and put in a private airstrip and that kind of thing? I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Let's go by. That is literally like us. Okay, like I think you guys know out there. If we went to China, we would be disappeared. Okay, or jailed. Right?
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't know about us unless they use this as a chess piece.
Sure.
Now my point is, if we went to, let's say we went to Xinjiang, because Xinjiang is about the same size as Texas.
Yeah.
And we called up the Chinese government or whatever and like first of all, you can't buy land. But let's just pretend you can.
Yeah.
Give me a 200 square mile plot of land, CCP. And they're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And we're like, you're not allowed to like come here. By the way, we're going to put a commercial airport here. And they're like, okay, cool. That's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So get that through your head, guys, the audience out there. I hope people are watching. Obviously, if it's public information, intelligence is watching this. Sure. My point is, how is this allowed to happen to begin with?
I know.
That's what I'm curious about.
Because who's to say it isn't the Chinese government that gave him the money to buy this anyway? It very well could be. It's too ridiculous in this day and age, in this current climate, that this kind of thing is allowed to happen.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Right.
Anyway, it is what it is. We'll see where it goes. If the world just keeps selling itself to China, then it's just going to all belong to China. It doesn't matter, Yeah.
Anyway, well, let's not be defeatist about that.
No, I'm being sarcastic. Yeah. That's what we're here for. We're not going to let it happen. We're going to try our best to shine a light on this kind of thing. So hopefully the people that are involved in all this can scrutinize.
Please do something about this, guys. This is my country. I care about it very deeply.
Exactly. So let's do 2 or 3 super chats, and we're going to move on to worldview. Which, guys, it's an interesting one today.
Cool. Just frame nope. What do you guys think about the yaoi made of you guys? What is yaoi?
Yaoi?
Oh, yaoi. Oh, it's Japanese.
Yaoi is like a gay fantasy manga or something like that.
I don't think
anime.
I
don't think anyone's made that for it.
If they did, they need to get better taste.
It's terrible.
There's a much better looking men to make yaoi of.
Yeah.
Yaoi. I learned something new.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Berry. Now I know why I don't know what that is.
I used to run those Japanese magazines and stuff.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why I know.
It's like hentai or whatever.
It's kind of like gay hentai.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's more like
I'd like to see it if it exists.
Yeah.
I highly doubt it. Jeremiah Berry, newer versions of COVID-19 strains in South Africa, Brazil, and Great Britain. What would you have any thoughts or insights on this? Well, it sucks.
I do have some thoughts and insights on this. Obviously, my parents are in South Africa, and so and lots of my family and friends, they've all been really hit with it because South Africa's under serious lockdowns now. It's really crappy. But why is it that it's acceptable for the whole world to say the UK strain of COVID and the South African strain of COVID and stuff, but we can't say the Chinese virus or the Chinese COVID? Why can't we say that it came from China, but we can't say it's Chinese? But we're okay. It's okay to label it the UK COVID and the South African COVID and the Brazilian COVID.
That's fine.
It's bullshit. It's double standards.
How about we can just say whatever we want?
Yeah, I'm just saying. No, but you can't though.
No, I'm saying how about we can?
Yeah, exactly. Because when people say the Chinese COVID or the Chinese flu or Wuhan flu or whatever, they're immediately labeled racist. Well, I'll tell you what. How about this? South Africa is like 80-90% black. Okay, so to call it the South African virus or the South African strain of COVID, that's very racist because now you're racist against an entire country of black people. That's really not good. Don't do that.
Right.
How about that?
Yeah. Sounds good.
I think that should fly
also,
in the face.
if you're using it in a race, so for example, like in the beginning, if you're saying that you're a Chinese virus, that's racist.
Yeah, you don't say that to a person.
If you're using it in the correct context, I don't see what the problem is. If you're being racist with it, then you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right? So just don't do that.
It's not, but hey, we have names. We've said this before: Spanish flu, Ebola, all that. It's because of where it came from.
Sure.
So it should be called the Wuhan virus or the Chinese virus
or whatever. Call it what you want.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
Don't be a dick.
that's my insight. As for the actual strains, well, this is the unfortunate thing about a virus like this. It will learn to survive and it will continually adapt, just like the flu does.
Thankfully, the vaccine does work against the current strain.
Yeah, and well, if we're lucky, this vaccine will stamp things out. But in all honesty, it's probably, like a lot of people have said, it's probably just another thing that the world's going to have to deal with for the rest of time. Just like the flu.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah.
We'll probably be able to vaccinate against it much more effectively throughout the years, to be honest.
Sure, just kind of like you get a flu shot.
Sure, which is great.
Get a Wuhan flu shot.
Sure. Weebrat94. Hey guys, I was thinking about marrying a rich Chinese. This is Guanxi Corner here. Thinking about marrying a rich Chinese girl.
Oh, let me put that up. Guanxi Corner, where we talk about people's relationships.
We haven't used that in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a Guanxi Corner question.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I was thinking about marrying a rich Chinese girl and using her money to tricycle around East Asia and then turn on other foreigners living there or who have lived there for the CCP. Yay or nay?
I'd suggest against it.
I think if you could go back in time, it's probably a poor move.
Yeah,
and you just stick with what you're doing. Yeah. Maybe expand a little bit.
Be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's about all the advice I can do that. We'll continue after.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, worldview. This is where we talk about what's happening in the world, but specifically with regards to China. Now, today's one has a lot to do with the video I'm releasing tomorrow, actually, believe it or not. But it's just coincidence, because I made a video about...
ready to get shut down.
Yeah, exactly. You see the woman behind us there is very famous. Her name's Ziqi, okay? And she's an influencer. She's got massive amounts of followers.
You can't imagine.
In China. But even on YouTube, she's got 14 million subscribers.
Is that more than that?
Yeah, it's 14 million.
Wow. That's like top tier.
Yeah, on YouTube, but in China, it's like multitudes more. Okay.
Right.
And anyway, the whole thing behind this, if you watch my video tomorrow, you'll find out a little bit more that it's not what it seems. It's actually just a bunch of bullshit, to be honest. But it's nice. It's like a fairy tale. We got nothing against Ziqi, right?
No. Just beautiful videos.
I think the videos are very well put together. It shows traditional Chinese culture that doesn't exist anymore.
Sure.
But it shows what China was like, could be like. But it's like a fairy tale. It's like a fantasy.
Glamorized setup. I mean, look at the flowers and stuff. It doesn't look like this, but
no. It's a good fantasy. It's a fantasy.
Nice to watch.
And it's very well shot.
Yeah.
Anyway, the fact of the matter is, she made a video recently where she made kimchi, basically, or pao cai, which is pickled vegetables in Chinese, in China. Now, China does have a lot of traditional pickled vegetables, right? That is part of the cuisine.
Is a thing, especially in Sichuan.
And it actually tastes good. I like
pao cai is like such a thing, like pickled. What are those?
They're like the beans and
jia cai and all that stuff.
Yeah. Anyway. Fact of the matter is, she made this video which got like millions and millions and millions and millions of views, billions of views, who knows, tons of views. Okay, close to 1 billion views. Okay? Yeah, if you count up everything all together, especially after this controversy. But anyway,
Baby Shark.
Yeah, she got tons and tons of views. But when they shared it, she shared like hashtag Chinese food, right? Now the thing is, what she was making in the video is actually Korean kimchi,
which you guys are familiar with.
I'm sure everybody knows kimchi, right?
A little spicy.
So this started a little bit of a war, because I don't know if you've met Korean people. I'm talking to you. You have. I'm talking to you out there. But kimchi is like a national pride. It's a point of pride. Kimchi is like, I don't know how to explain.
Put on the next slide and you'll show how important it is.
Okay, let's see. Next slides are coming. Next slide is coming. Here it comes.
Could be the slide after that.
Okay, no, we'll talk about that. Yeah, there we go. What is it? It's a UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage.
It's literally, UNESCO heritage sites, so like the Grand Canyon and stuff.
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah, kimchi is that.
It's Korea. Yeah. It is Korea.
It is like Korea's most important cultural export,
right.
Except for Gangnam Style or whatever.
Let's not be disrespectful. Okay. By the way, we got Gangnam Style to run on a Super Nintendo.
Yeah, that's
another story for another
really
time.
Cool. That's really
anyway.
Cool. Yeah.
It says kimchi is Korean, but it belongs to everyone because it's that important. I love kimchi, by the way.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I like kimchi too. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, Koreans are very proud of kimchi as part of their culture.
Why don't you roll the next clip while we talk about it?
Okay.
People have something to look at.
Yeah, let's do that.
We actually made kimchi with North Korean people.
Yeah, we met up with North Korean people.
What you're seeing right now is the North Korean border with China.
Yeah.
And we actually rode up there and met North Korean. I mean, they live in China, but they're North Korean ethnic people.
Yeah.
And they taught us how to make kimchi.
Yeah,
which was really fun.
So
they're so sweet. Those people. Those
they were lovely. It was kind of weird. They were Christian as well.
Yeah, actually, they message me sometimes still.
Like crypto Christians or whatever they call them. And that's us. We were a little thinner, a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
It's not too bad.
Yeah,
a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
This is northern China. Yeah.
Anyway, up in northern China, what we're trying to get at here is that it sparked a war. Online with netizens, which basically has. Now, the Chinese 50 Cent Army and the Chinese nationalists are going out there and saying, no, kimchi's Chinese.
Yeah.
And Koreans are like,
shut
up, it's Korean. And then China's like, no, it's China. And so it's created this absolute ridiculous storm.
A lot of people had been recommending we talk about this. Now, the problem is, what you're seeing right now is these are ethnically Korean people. Yes. So technically, they would be part of North Korea if that was the land grab situation. Sure. The thing is, China... What they say is, and these women are just Korean. Yeah. They believe that they're just Korean.
They speak Korean.
They can speak Chinese too, but and they're being PC with us on camera.
Yeah.
But off camera, they're just Korean.
Yeah,
people.
Off camera, they were like,
They're just Korean.
Yeah.
They go to South Korea too to practice their religion and stuff sometimes. Anyway, my point is, the subgroup of the minority Koreans that live in China that have Chinese passports and stuff and ID cards, they identify as Chinese.
Sure.
Although some of them, or I mean, as Koreans, some of them might identify as Chinese as well. But the thing is, by and large, they retain their Korean culture. So
That's
when
correct.
Chinese people are saying that it's Chinese, what they're actually saying is the pao cai that she's making, the Korean kimchi, because the Chinese Koreans make it too, that means it's Chinese.
Right.
You know how China likes to latch on to everything, right?
Well, I
It's
mean,
our Chinese
Yeah,
thing.
I've got an example of that, and that is Sichuan cuisine. You know,
Exactly.
they go on, oh, it's a woman, Sichuan Tsai is like hun la, all this, and yong nigga la jiao. They love like the chilies, and it's basically like their cultural identity in Sichuan is that they eat chilies.
Yeah.
And that it's the most Chinese Sichuan thing ever.
Sure.
And when you actually point out to them that chilies is a new world food that came from the States,
I used to troll people and they used to get so mad.
they're like, no, it's not. It's our ancient time, 5,000 years of history. I'm like, no,
It's a new world food.
And I can point out exactly when chilies was introduced
I know
to China,
the
like
genus that came over.
a couple hundred years ago or whatever. And they're like,
1400
but no, and you're like, but yes.
But yes, there was
It's
no
the same-
chili pepper.
Yeah, it's the same with a lot of things like corn and tomatoes and things,
Sure.
which come from,
Dongbei people will
Yeah.
tell you all day that corn is an ancient Chinese
yeah,
cuisine.
it's ancient
No,
Chinese, like
sorry.
stone.
Not that it matters.
Cornbread stuff that they make
Right.
and stuff. It's like, no, dude. You got to understand that came from the West, and it came from the West fairly recently in history. And they're like, no, 5,000 years of history,
Right.
So it's just kind of funny how they love to co-opt everything. That's the thing you'll find out about China is they're very ignorant when it comes to history, and it's got to do with the insular society and the being blocked off, from the rest of the world. So you grow up with everyone around you telling you, oh, this is China's, this belongs to China, China's the center of the universe, all this kind of stuff. And you just kind of believe it. So when the government says, oh, South China Sea belongs to us, they're like, yeah, it does belong to us. And they say, oh, Taiwan belongs to us. Yeah, it does belong to us. Oh, this belongs to us. Oh, yeah, it does. That part of India belongs to us. Yes, it does. Kimchi belongs to us. We made it. And you're like, they just stand up and defend it as if it's the pure truth because they just don't know any better.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
You don't completely believe it.
Mm-hmm.
This is making me miss that kimchi, by the way.
Yeah, it's really good.
It was so good. And we
Yeah.
made it.
Yeah. Well, they made it.
We helped.
Yeah, by looking,
by
looking at
learning.
them. I think we like...
No, we helped later.
Yeah, we kind of like
Remember?
mix things around in a
Yeah,
bowl.
come on.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, what I was trying to say is you start to believe that stuff. You don't internalize it, but you start to believe it just to make it go away. Because
Yeah.
you hear it so often.
Sure.
That everything is China's and China's the world and all stuff. And you actually, it's so weird to think about, but I sometimes have flashbacks about living in China.
Okay.
And I remember you actually do start to believe China is the center of the universe because you're so caught off from everything.
Sure.
Especially when I used to live in Inner Mongolia, when I had barely any foreign friends. It was all my friends were Chinese. I had to live a Chinese life.
Yeah.
And you start to just think in terms of the Middle Kingdom. You
Yeah.
don't think of the outside world anymore. You're
Yeah,
cut off
exactly.
from it, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, that's where the whole kimchi thing came from. Go back, show what happened to your video.
So I
some
did an
bullshit.
early release of my video, which will be released tomorrow, to my patrons, and I do this from time to time, so to give them some early release and stuff. And it got, I used, as you can see here, blocked in all territories.
This is a big one, like a
Yeah.
big block.
Because I'm talking about Ziqi in my video tomorrow as part of the soft power thing, right? And it's an interesting video. Don't worry, I don't attack her at all. I'm just explaining what it is. I used less than a minute, as you can see down there, of her footage or from one of her videos on YouTube. Less than a minute. And it got whacked with the copyright and blocked in all territories. In other words, all around the world. You see, blocked in all territories. It just cannot be shown. And this really pissed me off because the amount of times my videos have been used in Chinese media without asking me, and in fact in Chinese adverts and in Chinese, they take our stuff and just
All the
use it.
time.
All of our videos you can find, except for recently, obviously, because we're not that popular. But you can find a huge
China.
amount of our videos on Chinese streaming sites where they've been completely copied and just uploaded with like fake subtitles or whatever.
And our
People-
documentaries.
Yeah, documentaries too. People use our stuff all the time in China. Copyright is not a thing in China.
No.
They don't give a crap. That's why even the CCTV News uses footage from movies, like
Yep.
Hollywood movies, to
Sound
show
effects, songs.
The PLA uses
Yep.
the freaking,
Top Gun.
Top Gun and the Hurt Locker and Transformers and that kind of thing. In their actual
propaganda.
news broadcasts and their propaganda. They use anything they want. And so it just pisses me off at this hypocrisy. I use less than a minute of Li Ziqi stuff and I get hit.
And you were still contexting it.
Yes, I was talking over it. I was showing other clips. It's not like I just played their thing.
No.
I didn't use the audio or anything.
No.
And the annoying thing is, you can
Web
see
TV Asia.
who the person who claimed it, and it was a manual claim, by the way, because it's not just an automatically picked up thing. Web TV Asia, Greater China. We looked it up. It's a Chinese company
Based in Malaysia. That also has Chinese branches.
Yes, that it's basically just China.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's China reaching out saying, "Screw you! You can't use even a smidgen of our stuff because we're gonna claim
It's
that."
an MCN, so an MCN on YouTube basically manages channels, and they have to share the revenue with them.
Yeah.
But they also can claim anything. So usually, like when if I use news footage, that news network can claim, but then we just share the revenue. It still plays.
Yeah.
This blocks everything.
Yeah, look, it says it's ineligible, cannot earn revenue because it is blocked and it's blocked. No one can see it.
No.
And it just shows you, it's just like how China likes to claim kimchi and everything else.
Right.
They like to claim everything, like, just use a little bit of this and bam.
Yeah.
But they will use your stuff.
Yeah, all the time.
Not
all
bat an
the
eyelid.
time.
Yeah. So
how many times have our photos, like my photo is literally used on Chinese government websites about getting married in China.
Yeah. They use it all
They
the
use
time.
it all the time. I didn't say you could use that. It's literally copywritten to my video.
Yeah, and they keep that picture of you with you and your wife dressed up in like that traditional stuff.
They use that one all the time.
They use it. I see it all the time in like official articles.
Recently.
Yeah, it's very recent. So it's just this huge double standard that really pisses us off.
Massive.
So anyway, my video tomorrow, I've had to do some clever edits and hopefully it'll get around this, but I really hope that you guys can see it before it gets blocked again. Yeah. So I'll be releasing it first thing in the morning. And it's a good video to watch.
I did a video about wolf wankers, but
yeah, definitely,
just came out today.
Definitely should see it.
Check it out.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the whole kimchi thing, which is kind of ridiculous. These women were absolutely fantastic. By the way, if you're curious, this episode is available on the ADVChina channel. We actually, what do we call it? Like Life in the North Korean Border or something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's called Life in the North Korean Border. So just use that on YouTube.
Yeah, you can watch it if you want to see us actually making kimchi with them. They're really awesome people. Mm-hmm. And now it's time for our Q&A, where we answer your questions and you question our answers.
That is correct. Thoughts, Bengal Tiger, New York City, thoughts on Biden vowing to back JP against China? Who's JP?
I don't know who's JP.
Don't know. Sorry, but thank you.
JP, let me think about that.
Not self-censoring, by the way. I just literally don't know who JP is.
I don't know who JP is either. Does anyone know who JP is?
I'm sure they'll tell us in the chat. Michael Scott, glad I finally made the stream today. By the way, can you guys explain why surrogacy is illegal in China? Why don't I actually write that down for you? We can actually go into that because there's a huge controversy around that right now.
Yeah, well, those movie stars, they abandoned 2 surrogate children in the States.
Yeah.
That really annoys me.
We can talk about that in the next episode, actually.
Birth tourism is a huge thing in the States for Chinese people. There are companies set up specifically to help you have a kid here in the US. I've made a video all about that.
Right.
Strangely enough, people accuse me of that, but I didn't do that. I didn't come here for a holiday, have a kid, and fly straight back to China. I actually came to work and live here, and then Sasha randomly got pregnant.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good story.
Just thought I'd throw that in there.
JP is Japan.
Oh.
It was some people were saying it was Jake Paul. Biden's backing Jake Paul against China. So backing Japan against China, yeah, I mean, it's our ally. Is anyone surprised? It would be a huge
think China made a big miscalculation.
Yeah, huge.
Because they were pushing to get rid of Trump
the
whole time. They tried all sorts of dastardly ways to try and push him out of office. And whether any of those worked or not doesn't matter. The fact is they were celebrating. Remember they put that tweet out that was like good riddance or whatever.
Like, welcome Biden.
Whatever. I think they're going to regret that because I think everybody who voted for Biden doesn't really realize what he is, really.
Sure.
Because immediately, straight off the bat, he's done a lot of things that have really annoyed a lot of people that put him into office. Like unions and stuff that put him in there have been really let down, and he's shut down pipelines and fracking and all sorts of things that people weren't expecting him to do because he said he wouldn't do it. But hey, you're dealing with politicians here, man. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're a politician, you're a liar.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Anyway, we don't talk too much about that here.
We can. I don't really care.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Gary McBrien, thank you for doing what you do.
That's a pleasure.
It's an absolute pleasure to do what we do. Magna Beef says, my personal interpretation of the CCP COVID swabs, Xi has always had a stick up his behind.
Okay.
He wants to make sure everyone else does too.
Interesting.
Probably true. Case closed. That deep fake of Xi Jinping on my video, by the way.
It's so funny.
If you only watch my Wolfwanker video on Law 86,
yeah,
just do it for the deep fake of
you
Xi
have the
Jinping.
baby. It's so funny.
It's disturbing.
It's so funny. I love it.
Case closed 93. You mentioned what it's like in the mainland, but I heard in Taiwan that there was admiration for Nazis as the ROC was basically fascist until the 80s. Yeah, not that much.
I mean, in Taiwan I've seen swastikas too, and in Japan you can buy swastika bumper stickers.
Yeah, like that part of the world. Keep in mind, Japan was Axis as well, so it's gonna have some
different.
respect.
It's different. Yeah.
It's not. Didn't say it was good. It's shocking. Akosha. Stay awesome, peeps. This is your number one fan, Akosha. Nice.
Thank you.
Nice name drop. I like it. Michael Chan. Yeah. Hey, guys. Hey, there's a video called Xinjiang, the future of China, that denies the accusations. Not sure if you've seen this, but what are your thoughts on this? Actually, I haven't seen that.
We'll look into it. Look, guys, right now we're seeing a huge push when it comes to like denial of the Xinjiang camps and stuff. And
Xinjiang.
Yeah.
I read that. Sorry, because there's no G.
Yeah.
Got it.
Xinjiang, so Xinjiang. Basically, we're finding a lot of people, especially the little puppets of the CCP, are going out there and trying to say, oh, well, first of all, they say it doesn't exist.
Sure.
Right? And then when too much evidence comes out, then they say, oh, yeah, maybe they exist, but it's only for like some extremists.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, but it's not that bad. It's actually kind of like a school, you know, they go there to learn skills and stuff. So it's actually, it's good for them. It's teaching them skills and providing them with jobs and things, you know. And the more and more evidence come out, the more and more bullshit excuses come out for it.
Right.
Obviously, any situation where you're kind of just locked away because of your faith or your ethnicity or the way you look or, you know, because of where you were born or something is not correct.
Sure.
They are trying to justify apartheid, basically, in Xinjiang, where it's Han people and Uyghurs. And it is an apartheid system. I know all about apartheid. Guess why? Because I come from South Africa, believe it or not. Apartheid was a thing there. And if the rest of the world could stand up like they did against South Africa, put sanctions and basically bully South Africa into changing their ways, I believe the same should be done to China. It worked with South Africa. The outcome of what happened to South Africa, it is what it is, and you can look it up. You can see, though, that wouldn't have changed. Apartheid wouldn't have been abolished if it wasn't for all these free Mandela, you know, college kids and all the movements and all the big concerts around the world and the people, all the countries around the world putting massive sanctions on and condemning South Africa for so long that they were forced to capitulate.
Sure.
That kind of thing has to start happening to China over the Xinjiang Uyghur situation. If you didn't let South Africa get away with it, you better not let China get away with it. Otherwise, that's some double standards.
Agreed. By the way, I need to hit back a little bit.
What's that?
On the chat. I tend to glance at the chat, but I have to hit back on the about 2 billion comments we got saying that we're dumb because we said swastikas are for Nazis, but in Asia it's a Buddhist symbol.
No, it's the other way around.
No, we are not talking about the Buddha. You think we're dumb? Think we didn't live for 10 plus years in Asia? I know the difference.
Okay.
You don't need
First
to
of all,
show.
It's mirror imaged.
Yeah.
The Nazi one is mirror imaged. It's not the one that's used in the temples and stuff like that. Second of all, the swastika the Nazis used is very, very iconic.
We're talking about the stickers. It's black and
with
red.
With a white circle and a red flag around it. That's what we're talking about. Not a random
Sometimes
Buddhist
Hitler is
temple.
on there.
Yes.
Not with literally the hand motion.
Don't be dumb, guys. Don't be dumb.
Stop trying to make excuses. I'm not even in Taiwan I saw this on people's scooters.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just the Nazi symbol. It's not the Buddhist one.
Yeah, it's just the German Nazi party flag. Okay, it's definitely not the Buddhist thing.
I get why you're confused. Though.
Yeah. Anyway. Don't worry, we're not as confused as you are. You know, sorry.
I'm sorry. That's one of those know-it-all things where you're like, I heard that they have that, so I'm right and they're wrong.
Well, I mean, when I first got to China, I was like walking around and I saw like
I had to Google it.
Just a normal swastika, like a Buddhist one.
Sure.
It was like near a hot spring or something, and it was in the pavement on the road. I was like, what the hell? And then I was like, wait, but it's the wrong way around. And I'm like, okay, that's just a Buddhist symbol.
These people are called actuallys. That's actually a thing. That's pretty
interesting.
Funny.
Yeah.
Amy Murphy, I'm curious if y'all will do a take on the rumor that Tencent is eyeing doing a hostile takeover of EA or Take-Two Interactive.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I was working for Tencent when they had some of the big guys in. They were doing a licensing for some or other game, I think. And they had some of the people that were behind Metal Gear Solid 4. They were in there actually in a meeting, and I got to like see them. And
that's cool. I love that guy.
But yeah, the fact of the matter is they are big. Tencent's huge.
Sure.
So much money, and they license all these big companies, and now they're investing in all these big companies around the world. And unfortunately, it will have a detrimental effect on gaming because they're going to have to inject Chinese censorship into the games that they have a party in. Like, if they have a share in a company that's creating a game, that game will not be able to have anything bad to say about China in it.
No.
No. Or communism or whatever. They're going to take it out.
Sure.
So it kind of sucks that they're getting such a huge grip, and who knows, they might actually take over a whole bunch of stuff. They might rule everything.
Maybe.
They're just too much money, man. That's the problem.
Sure.
It's too much money.
Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man.
Alt Stuff TV. Love your content for years now. Always anticipate episodes on all channels. Thank you very much.
Right.
Owen Prescott, breaking CCP purchase Area 51. Lol. A-Tech, how does a Wumao physically get paid? I assume via WeChat, but is someone counting their posts to work out how much money they get? Well, the thing is, the Wumaos, the voluntary ones, are just
they get paid. They get paid out of national pride.
Yes,
they just do it for that.
The non-voluntary ones are actually ones in the PLA buildings. That
they
are on
actually
farms.
they're just on a salary. They don't actually get paid per thing.
There's bosses in there that look at what you're doing.
Yeah, but they just have a salary.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're just called Wumao.
It's the thing is when it said 50 cents per post, they're not keeping track of
post.
I mean, they'll know if you're slacking off.
Sure.
But you're not. They're not. They just said it works out to be 50 cents per post. Franz Plagians, thank you very much. Daryl S, do you want to call it? You want to call it the Wuhan virus? Dare compete with me?
Yeah, exactly.
Got to bring that back.
You know that we still have questions from last time that we have to answer. We'll just go through these quickly.
Mustang 6975. Winston, what are you doing to lose weight? Wearing a suit that you're too fat to button up kind of defeats the purpose.
Well, I can button it up. I don't understand what. Okay, it's a little tight, but I can do it. But like I said, if I button it up, it's incredibly uncomfortable.
I don't want you to lose your head.
You know? It is. It's just uncomfortable.
I don't think it looks bad with one button undone. I think it's good to be a little more casual.
But, what am I doing to lose weight? To answer your question, I'm just doing more exercise. You got to realize I'm freaking 40 years old, and when you reach this age, it's not the same. You have to work a hell of a lot harder.
Ain't no springbuck.
No, yeah. But I'll lose the weight. You wait and see.
Nathan 87. Turns out there's a whole book. The chili pepper in China claims that they were introduced in the 1570s. That's fine. Still New World foods, post-1400s. In fairness, not that recent.
It's not 5,000 years of history, though.
No. Okay, Nathan, I understand what you're saying, but 1570s is still a New World food.
Yeah.
That's not what we're saying. We're not saying it was invented yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm saying that, well, you were saying that.
Yeah.
They're claiming that for 5,000 years they've been cooking with chili peppers, and that's physically impossible.
That's the thing. The ignorance is very, it's vast. You can speak to just your average... My wife didn't even know that.
No. Well,
the average Chinese person doesn't know that chilies did not come from China. They think it's always been... It doesn't matter, but that's what we're saying is that it's just the average person just believes that chilies were a Chinese thing. And so these chili spicy dishes are a Chinese invention before anyone else.
Right, and you can go on Baidu and all this stuff, and you can learn the truth in Chinese, not hidden.
Yeah.
But they're not
it's
taught
not common knowledge.
Yeah,
it's not common knowledge,
right.
yeah.
JD Man, huge fan of your channels. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Buffalo 5 Knives, are you still planning to hit Super Chats left on your surprise? Yes, we're doing that.
Yes.
Still hoping to ask about my travel research plans. That's coming up, don't worry.
Yeah, please stick around here.
Sorry, JPN, have heard this story elsewhere. U.S. dude who went to China, got mugged, devoid of any money to go back home, had to make his plane ticket fares by posing as a rich foreigner for a company. How likely is this story? Yeah. Could happen. I mean, it sounds a little fabricated.
It sounds like he's maybe a scammer, but at the same time...
It could have happened.
You can do white monkey jobs to earn money, sure.
Sure. Linda Hunter, hello, fellows. Thank you, Linda.
Hey.
Sorry. Sander Jersten Oswald. For worthless whips, Would you consider importing a cheap Chinese car and eBay turbo kit the living shit out of it? World's first CCP supermobile. Probably if we had money. We're kind of poor.
Yeah.
I would absolutely. That would be hilarious fun.
I've had my experience. I drove my Chinese car for over 10 years, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous.
But it would be funny if someone was to give us one.
Sure.
But we can't afford to buy a brand new car and then ship it over and can't even drive
We'll get
it here.
scammed anyway.
Yeah, we will. Massive fins. Biden didn't like about the pipeline. Lie, I guess. But he said one day he would shut down that Canadian shit. Okay.
All right.
Robin M. Banks. My Jew family loves you too. Jewish family, I should say.
Yeah.
Keep fighting for human rights. Thank you very much.
Certainly will.
Robin. Bengal Tiger, New York City. Do you think that India can become the next China with its regulations and political instability, even with its being just as poor population, just as poor as Bangladesh, and having more land companies chose Bangladesh for textiles? Yeah, I think India has the potential for sure. Yeah. India needs to mature. It does have a democracy. That's a good first start.
Yeah.
And it does, but it needs to consolidate a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough to say. It's really tough to say. I have a lot of hope for India.
Me too.
And a lot of love for India too. So I really hope that India succeeds.
Douglas, my last super chat. F you, Google. But I remain a loyal patron to both of you. Thankful always.
Thank you so much.
That really means a lot.
Yeah.
Sam Music, keep it up, guys. We will. Jennifer, starting to think Xi Jinping and the CCP is basically just Dr. Evil and his evil enterprise trying to take over the world for financial gain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you could kind of just think about it like that for sure.
Yeah.
Someone should deepfake that. By the way, the deepfake on my video, because I think it's illegal to make deepfakes, I did not make that. That was on a YouTube channel.
I don't think it's illegal.
Okay. Sick lid. Hope the PLA are taught the U.S. military killed over 1 million Chinese soldiers in Korea. Forgetting history means you're doomed to repeat it.
They're not taught that.
No. Yeah, it's actually true. That's actually no.
No, they're not taught that at all. It's the
no. I'm thinking because I went to a war museum in Guangdong. It was in Longmen actually, and it was the testament. The museum was a testament to the Chinese soldiers that fought against the Japanese, but also the ones that fought the American soldiers in the Korean War.
That's right.
And the plaque said nothing about how many soldiers were lost.
No, of course not. It's just like evil
troops.
Americans, evil Japanese. It was
Mike Huter, our man. Thanks, bro. That Texas PLA airstrip should be named Hunter International.
Yes, it should.
A little petition.
That's a cracking joke. Sorry, just had to say that. Yeah.
Hong Kong, Kowloon Tong. I think I met you guys in Dongguan a couple years ago. Well, probably not, because me and Winston have never been to Dongguan together.
No, yeah, but I did go to Dongguan a lot, so maybe he bumped into me with a bunch of other people. What were you doing there? Well, I had friends in Dongguan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
and you just know
China V, and of course, went up there with Tom and that crowd a few times. Anyway,
not to the city.
We went
to Red Bear Pikes.
Yeah, but we also went to Dongguan for our friend who runs that awesome restaurant. Remember, sold him a bike.
Oh yeah, I don't think we would have met. We didn't meet anyone there though. We just met him at the restaurant.
Yeah, true. Anyway,
I've only been Dongguan twice. I think.
Let's hit those questions from last time, guys. On Friday,
I didn't finish. Love how the channel has developed. F the CCP.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I did a surprise stream. Last week, and we also had some super chats that we hadn't finished from our previous stream as well. So we're going to quickly rip through these for you guys, because the last thing we ever want is for you to feel as if we haven't answered your questions. For sure.
So. Kane Ra, did you see CGTN bragging about letting a foreigner examine moon samples?
Yes,
you looked into that, right?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Again, it proves that China still puts a huge amount of stock behind what foreigners think.
Massive.
So that's why they went to go get these moon samples, right? And they brought them back. By the way, if you see the way they check the moon samples out and stuff, it's kind of very amateur and very bad considering the potential radiation and all that stuff. So if you know anything about this, they didn't do it correctly. But they got a foreigner to come in and look at it as well. And to them, that adds credibility. And that's why it adds a lot of credibility to what we say about when they hire these guys to go around and do these promotional tours and stuff. It's because having a foreigner approve of something in China, endorse something in China, makes that thing so much more valuable.
Sure.
Than a local guy. Anyway.
Someone said we need a round table. We would love one, but we're not made of money, like we said.
One of these days.
One of these days.
I'll cut this up with the tools that we use for Worthless Whips and make it into a round table.
Knights. We can be knights.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know if it's true that the Chinese provinces are not allowed?
Why don't you read the person's name?
Because it's Japanese.
Yeah. So.
I don't know how to read Japanese.
Okay.
Can you read it?
Francisco Peso Samuelu.
There you go. Francisco Peso Samuel.
Yeah, Samuelu. Yeah.
Looks like moon runes to me. Do you guys know if it is true that the Chinese provinces are not allowed to have flags, coats of arms, anthems, or regional symbols? If that is so? If that is so, then why? Yes, you will see cities having their own things, but the provinces tend to stay away from any insignia for national unity.
I don't know anything about that.
I do.
Okay, yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
sure.
I'm ignorant about that. So yeah,
sure, it's not like the States. Although people have a lot of provincial pride. It's massive. It's actually huge. The stereotypes between provinces in China are wild. Yeah. They'll say that. Like, oh, that guy's from Hunan. Oh, that province is famous for that.
Funan.
Yeah. John Nield. Love the channel, guys. Have been watching all your channels. Love the work. You're both awesome. Winston stories should be called them short story long.
Yeah, short story long. It's true.
Yeah.
Long story short story long. Yeah.
Jordan T. Russo. My dad went to Cape Town. He said it's nice but scary. Sounds accurate.
Yeah.
What's the best way to prove you're not working for the Chinese government? Oh, sorry. That's my thing. I copied and pasted.
Yeah.
Zen Master Me.
So these are the ones from my video that I released because I made a video about, for lack of a better word, the shill guys, who basically are working with the Chinese government to do promotional tours and stuff. And they got put in an article in the UK, some British ones, and basically immediately the biggest English language state media jumped to their defense. And not only that, tons of other Chinese state media, Chinese politicians and officials jumped to their defense on Twitter and stuff to say, nah, they're not working for the Chinese government. Right. So it's like, if you're not working with or working for the Chinese government, why does the Chinese government jump to your defense immediately? It's really dumb. You know what I mean? So they really outed themselves. So I made a quick live stream about that because it happened very quickly. And so I wasn't able to answer the super chat, so I'm going to answer them now for you, and hopefully Simil can help me too. So what do we got here?
Smiling face with sunglasses.
All right.
Here's $5 from the U.S. CIA, which we all know pays people to make videos to make China look bad. Should I have posted this publicly?
Exactly. Fantastic.
Lek Michelin.
No, don't read that.
What?
Read it. What does it say? If you know German, right?
No. No. I speak Chinese and English.
Okay.
Some Spanish.
All right, never mind then.
What does that? Oh, does that mean like lick my arse?
Yeah.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is it similar to Dutch?
Yeah, very similar. Same.
Lek me arse.
Lek me arse. That's what it says.
Okay.
Anyway.
Recently, a Chinese game streamer starved to death amid Xi Jinping's propaganda campaign says that China has eliminated poverty.
That's Mocha. You heard about that, right?
Yes, I did.
I'm still waiting to hear exactly what happened with that. But yes, look, this poverty thing, China claims to have overcome poverty. It's not true. Poverty is still a huge issue in China. They've just
lowered the bar.
They've lowered the bar big time. So yeah, we've overcome poverty because the guy earns
when the poverty standard here in America is like $30 a day or something, the average person, and then the poverty standard in China is like 90 cents a day. Yeah. You can kind of come to the conclusion yourself. Yeah. They keep lowering the standard of what poverty means.
Yeah.
So you understand, poor people in China are not getting more money, by and large. Yeah. It's still a horrible life.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, and you do get situations where people are too poor to deal with their health problems, or just general life, and people die because of being poor. And this may very well be one of those situations. And we're gonna look into that.
Everyone's yelling at you about Lek mich Arsch. It's a Mozart song.
That's great, but it's not though.
It is. I just Googled it.
It's good. Well, I'm just calling it the other way around.
Okay, but I did just Google it.
All right, my ignorance on display. I'm more than happy to accept that.
Sorry, I just had to throw it in there. Utmas Fessel says pair character jumping up and down saying #1 fan. Obviously the stickers when I copied him overturned the text. David, very insightful by the way. David, in memory of Dr. Li Wenliang, continued economic prosperity of China. Yeah, for the people.
Yes, for the people, not for the CCP.
Danis de Sousa, I lived in China. I knew about the Xinjiang situation before the Xinjiang people, born people that were living in other provinces due to censorship. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. This thing about Xinjiang, I've known about it for years, actually. But it's always been kind of rumors or hush-hush. You heard about they were forcing the Uyghur people to shave their beards, and they're forcing them to eat pork and to drink alcohol and stuff. You heard about all that stuff, right? And you're like, come on, this can't be right. And they're like, no, they're trying to like de-radicalize them and stuff. So you hear about it, but you hear about it in drips and drabs.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why it took the longest time, especially for us to actually talk about it at all, is because we have always talked about things that we've experienced ourselves. So when it comes to China, we can talk about how the government works because we've experienced the government. We've both been involved in some way with government officials and been to government dinners and seen how the corruption works firsthand. Had to deal with living in a place where the government rules are always changed. So it's always based on our own personal experiences. And so not having had experience with Xinjiang, actually going there, we know Xinjiang people, we've met Xinjiang people, but not having gone there and seen it for ourselves, we've always been reluctant to talk about it. But it's reached a point now where we've spoken to enough Xinjiang people, the evidence is there that we're fully willing to talk about it.
That's why on my video I specifically interviewed a Uyghur person from Xinjiang.
Exactly.
Otherwise, what do I know? Dee Dee Smith, funny how my Chinese girlfriend likes Trump and her sister likes Biden. Numinous thought, thank you for everything you do. Lorenz.
Pleasure.
Lorenzo, it seems to me she is cool, personal. I don't know him personally, but that he just doing his job.
Okay.
Very insightful. Thank you very much. Twiggy I don't know anyone that thinks Xi Jinping is cool. Not even Chinese people. They don't think he's cool.
No, they don't.
Twiggy the lizard. All hail our CCP approved President Joe Biden.
Okay.
Lisa. Okay.
They're not going to approve of him very long, it seems.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Lisa Ruthless. I wonder if sometimes that's a cool name. Sometimes these people are coerced because China has some dirt on them.
Absolutely. She's talking about the shills.
That actually ties in. I have a relative.
Yeah.
A shout out to, I won't name names.
Yeah.
But she had a question.
Yeah, let's read the question because it actually is the same kind of question. So go for it.
She had a question for us about because she grew up in the Soviet war time, Cold War era. She was talking about kind of how like back then you would have people that were in the Soviet Union, maybe from the US or the West.
Yeah.
And they were coerced into making material that was pro-Soviet Union for propaganda.
Yeah.
So she was saying, is that the same thing like for Jayo and Barrett and Nathan Rich and all these people?
Yeah.
Are they coerced by the government to do this against their will? Otherwise, maybe they can't leave or something like that.
No, I honestly think they're incentivized to do what they do. They realize that it's a path to success, and it's also a survival mechanism. When you are living in China, you realize that you walk in a fine line as a foreigner, and especially a foreigner who's putting things online as like a kind of an independent journalist in a way. It's illegal. You're not actually supposed to do that because I know, okay? I'm the first guy to do it, and there's a reason I'm the first guy to do it. It was a huge risk. I knew it, and everyone else that does it knows it. You're going to go online and start putting out videos about what's happening in China and what's going on. Number one, I didn't have a journalist visa, okay? So I'm not a journalist, and what I am doing can be seen as journalism, which can get me into a huge amount of trouble. Number two, you don't know how the Chinese government is going to react to a foreigner talking about what's happening in China because they're so tight-fisted about the control over censorship and what can be said and what can be shown to the world. They are very careful about not losing face. So I knew I was taking a massive risk. I did it anyway. And after I did it, other people saw, oh, look, there's a guy doing it. So I guess it's fine. I can do it too. So in a way, I opened the floodgates for these guys. There was no one doing it before. And I know why. Because I was the first guy. I know how difficult it was to do it. But once you're doing it, you realize when the eyes come on you. Because when you're small, no one cares. But when you start to get feedback from Chinese people, and especially from like a big audience of Chinese people, you realize right now you've got a lot of eyes on you. A lot of nationalist eyes. And if you take one wrong step, those are the kind of people that will run to the police and report you. Okay? And it happened to people. George's from China Nonstop was making some critical videos about China. What happened? A Wu Mao figured out where he worked, got him fired, got the police to take him in. They had a big talking to him, and they forced him to make positive videos about China. So all of a sudden his videos that were kind of critical, and then one day it's like, wow, Chinese family unit's amazing. Wow, China's great for this, China's great for that. And you're like, wait, something's not right here. But it was too late, because at the end of the day, they still decided to deport him, which they did. So you see, when you're in that situation, when you realize that a one misstep can be a bad thing, you want to defend yourself, build up some kind of defense by being incredibly positive, because you think, I'm helping the image of China. I'm helping China. Mm-hmm. So if I help China that much, surely they'll look after me and they will not want to kick me out. They will not want to stop my lifestyle.
That's right.
On top of that, you have this incentive because the nationalist Chinese audience is incredibly loyal. So if you release a video, whether they watch it or not, they'll still go to click it, thumbs up it, leave a comment, do what they need to do for the algorithm for YouTube, just to push your video, right? And share it out and do whatever they need to do. They will do that. Even if they don't care about the video, they can't understand it, they don't like it, because they know it's helping the image of China.
Correct.
So what you'll find is you'll find someone that can release absolute garbage. Like the Barrett guys released a video the other day where the young Barrett's like, I didn't realize tea was a big thing in China. You know, I know we British people drink tea, but I didn't think it was a big thing until I came here.
Wow.
How dumb do you have to be? China, I mean, tea comes from China. If you don't know your history, you don't know that China's got anything to do with tea, you don't deserve to be saying anything about the country. But you know what I mean? These people, they go out and be positive. They see a lot of rewards for doing that. First of all, their lifestyle is secured. Second of all, they get a lot of attention, get flown around to do all these stupid
money
things. They get money and remuneration. But more importantly, they get that loyal nationalist audience, and it pushes them to keep going on and on and on. But like we saw in the case with George's, he was coerced into making positive videos.
He was. They made him do that.
They made him do that, but then eventually they kicked him out anyway. It was just too late. They obviously went back and decided, let's just get rid of it.
Well, I mean, they also get something useful out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, they did. So that's the answer to that question. It's because of incentive.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Dee Smith says, a little something from Jayo and Quayla for you. This is becoming a meme where apparently our subscribers are taking money that would have otherwise been given to them and giving it to us. Appreciate it. Liberator 2142, here's to hope you reach 1 million subs soon.
Thank you. I doubt it, but it would be nice.
Hey, cumulatively between all of our channels, because we're all family.
Yeah,
we
that's
have
true.
Well over 1 million.
Yeah, we do actually. If you put in ADVChina and your channel,
Chocolate and Vanilla Swirl, thank you for Expose the CCP and United Front.
It's a pleasure.
Jerome Boramia, love your videos on China, CCP, and ADVChina. I hope to catch or branch out in your video topics as they seem CCP and China-centric lately.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see more branching out, don't worry. But we have to focus on what's important in the world right now.
As Lido Ritteris, thank you. Stephen Williams, it's always nice to see you exposing corruption. Thank you for taking on these propagandists.
Absolutely.
Buffalo Five Nice. Hi, Winston. I'm hoping one day to do a research project in mainland and would like to get your unique perspective on some advice in the future. Is there a good way to reach out? I wrote you on Reddit about 5 months ago. Actually, that's instead of us saying email addresses, Buffalo Five Nice, why don't you message him on Reddit again, because we'll just right after this, he'll check it.
Yeah.
Because see, we haven't checked it in a long time, obviously.
You have to understand that, especially... I get a lot of messages, and I get messages on Facebook, I get messages on Reddit, I get messages through the inbox thing on
we get like
YouTube.
50 a day.
So no, I get hundreds sometimes a day, and I try my best to keep up with it. I really did for the longest time, but it just gets away from you. And when you see that inbox with like 500-600 unread messages, it just gets to a point where you're like, I just can't do it.
Sure.
I just can't do it. So
but we'll know what to look out for.
So I'll be honest with you, the one way that the one thing I always do is I reply to my patron messages. I'm not trying to incentivize you. I'm not trying to incentivize you to get over to Patreon, but if you wanted to really get over
we answer those every morning.
Yeah, that's part of the routine, is to answer the patron messages.
Ugara Arkin, thank you. Jeremiah Berry, do you think each individual that speaks out will have triple or more that amount? Try to repress those that do? Yes.
Absolutely.
Renato ZM, thank you. Appreciate your work. Buffalo Five Nice says he'll be listening on Thursday.
Yeah, here you go.
Watching since early days.
I since you've made the effort, I just want to take a look at his original thing about research project in mainland China. I just got to say that it's fascinating. There's nothing wrong with going to China to have a holiday or to go and research something or whatever. It's a fascinating time. You'll have an adventure. It really is interesting. But it's always very important to understand the place you're in, so that you can make sure that you don't make any mistakes.
Sure. Evan Avrao, thank you. K Booty, this is back to our current questions.
Yes.
GameStop didn't kill itself. Trey Haney, Harold Ford said he was renting the house with the Mao painting.
He's renting the house.
That could make a lot of sense, to be honest.
Okay, well,
we rented a house with literally communist shit all over it.
It was terrible.
So we have to maybe give him the
No. Here's the thing, though. You're going to go on a live TV
True,
interview.
we didn't show that stuff.
Yeah, you got to know who that is. That sounds like a weak excuse that he rented the house.
If he did, though, I'm saying it's
Let's
a little
just say
more.
we're going to have there's a picture of Hitler on the wall, and we're going to have a live stream on
That's
TV.
That's also true.
Set up your camera so it's not in the shot. How about that?
Good point. Crazy Viking, Australian gold.
The only Ford I like is a Mustang. Sorry.
Australian gold bar with Chinese dragons on exists. What?
Australian gold bar. Oh,
What?
really? I think, I know in South Africa they mint like gold bars. You can buy gold bars. So maybe there's a Australian gold bar with a Chinese dragon on it.
Okay.
Look into that.
That makes sense. Taro, I was gutted by the West's inability to stand up against the CCP. The EU in particular is entirely in China's back pocket, as Merkel implied at Davos. What are some concrete reasons to maintain hope? There is a unit. Look into the EU deal.
Yeah.
The EU deal, it's not ideal. It's not what I want.
Yeah.
Because it is continuing to deal with the CCP. The thing is, it is not increasing trade. It's keeping the status quo with the European trade and then increasing the requirements for the Chinese side. So if you look at it from that perspective, not much has changed. I wouldn't buy into the idea that the Western world is bowing down to the CCP any more than it was. And I think it's actually there's a shift in the tide right now.
There's a lot more awareness.
Yeah.
And so this is what's important, that all of you who watch what we say and what we do here, we hope that you're having discussions with people that you know and just kind of opening people's eyes, because at the end of the day, it's ignorance is the biggest enemy here, right? It's ignorance of what the CCP is doing that allows them to get away with what they're doing. So if you're starting discussions, opening some eyes, it might change the right minds.
Yeah. The Bloody Dahlia says, what do you think of the ERMB cryptocurrency? Nothing says untraceable currency like a state-backed authoritarian regime's currency.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's
Not awesome.
scary. It's scary. We'll look into that for a future thing.
Hawk 52 for a couple proper Asahi when you get to Japan.
Can't
Thank
wait.
you.
Can't wait.
Koa Bell, aren't Chinese a bit schizophrenic, believing foreigners when they give something more credit, but not believing foreigners not a word when it comes to China or Chinese politics? Yes, unfortunately, and it's not fair.
No, that's a very good observation, because that's exactly how it is. It's like you can't understand because you're not Chinese. How many times have you been told that? When you know something, it's right there. You know exactly what you're talking about. You're in an argument. When you win the argument, when you have proven without a doubt that what you're saying is correct, with proof, even Chinese, written in Chinese and all that, this is how it is, they'll be like, no, you just don't understand because you're not Chinese.
Correct.
It's like, shut up, man.
Come on.
Yeah,
man.
Come on, man.
We should have that as a sound. We gotta get sound bites on our board.
Yeah, you gotta understand China.
So that should be on there.
Yeah.
Dan Ferentz, very generous. Our boy Dan, our good friend. He said the game stonks hit, boys.
Thank you so much.
I believe, Dan, you were talking to me earlier about the game stonks.
Yeah.
Keep up the great work on your channels, and congratulations, Dan, on winning big.
That's fantastic. Keep taking down these hedge funds, man.
That's
Hedge funds are evil.
Get effed. Get bent.
Yeah, exactly.
Magnum Beef, hearing about how lucrative working with the CCP is for people like YouTubers you're talking about makes me respect you guys that much more for speaking the truth and not just riding the R&B wave. Cheers, guys. Much respect. See, the difference
Thank you
is...
to you. Thank you to you, by the way.
The difference is I like to sleep, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want the feeling that I am doing something morally reprehensible.
Yeah.
That is not how you should be living your life.
No.
And unfortunately, people in the social media sphere tend to be very selfish people.
Of course, I mean, influencers, if you're going to be an influencer, you have to be narcissistic in some way or the other.
Sure.
That includes us as well. It's you have to have some narcissism to go out there and stick a camera in your face and expect that people out there will actually listen to you.
Sure.
Right? And, when we started, we were young. Everyone who's young is a bloody narcissist.
That's why.
That's just,
I couldn't start now.
No, we just matured, luckily. But at the end of the day, it really is tough. But when you realize that what you're doing is actually to the detriment of Chinese people, that's when you realize that it's not good. So, for instance, when you're reinforcing the government's message, it's hurting the people that need change.
Yeah.
It's hurting the little guy at the bottom who's struggling in the poverty of China. You're out there saying the Chinese government is so great and
there's
doing
no problems
everything.
and it's utopia.
Nobody needs to lift a finger.
No.
Just let the government handle everything. The government's doing everything. It changes nothing. And that poor person doesn't see change, and it works against
No,
him.
because what you're doing is supporting the government that takes the eyes away from all the actual issues that need support and help.
Yes. So if we talk about these issues, maybe we can help spur a little bit of change and help that guy rather than just keeping them down. You know what I mean? So yeah, it does reach that point.
I appreciate that.
And
it's very rare that we hear messages like that. So thank you.
And the whole sleeping at night thing is true because you have to be comfortable.
You have to believe in what you do.
Yeah,
if you don't believe in what you do, it will come back to bite you.
Yeah.
It will come back to bite you.
Absolutely.
And that's not a threat. That's an actual like psychological thing. If you're doing something bullshit that you know is wrong, it will haunt you. It will.
Absolutely, yeah.
Light Seeker. Why do non-PRC born Chinese, ABC, CBC, Taiwanese, Hong Kong hesitate to call out the CCP? Call out poo. Is this normal for them to get hurt over facts? I would disagree with you on that one. Especially the older generation of American-born Chinese are very anti-CCP. Yeah. And the people that I talk to that work with ABCs and Taiwanese people and stuff, they're very vocal about anti-CCP. I think
Taiwan's very vocal. Depends. If they've got a lot of family in China, that makes sense. Sure. You cannot be seen as being anti-CCP because the CCP is like a mafia organization. Yeah. If you're too loud about it, they will like lean on your family back in China. It could affect your family, your parents, business. It could affect anything. So I think
he's talking about people that have family back in China.
Yeah.
Yes.
They can't. There's also a new sort of level of like ABCs and stuff who feel very disconnected from like their roots, let's say. Sure. So they feel like they want to reconnect with China because maybe it was their grandparents that came over to the States or whatever. So they're trying to dig for an identity, and so they're probably latching onto all this Chinese nationalist nonsense because it gives them a perceived identity.
I get it. I understand.
You know what I mean? So there's probably that too.
But the majority of ABCs that I know are very anti-CCP.
Sure, me too.
In hot water, more retro tech, please, Winston. I love that stuff. Someone found you your TikTok.
I've been experimenting. I've decided that I can't stand TikTok, but I wanted to experiment to see how it works.
Are you not going to do it anymore?
No, I'll probably, but I've decided to actually make a proper video because I can't stand the shoe cam stuff. It just doesn't work for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little thing called Mini Disc Mysteries as a test. I don't know where I'm going to release it.
Okay.
I might release it unlisted and just paste the link in our chats and stuff so that everyone can check it out, but it's kind of fun. Sure. It's all the little mini discs I picked up around the world that have random things. Dude, I got one. I didn't tell you about this yet, but I got one, and it's a random mini disc. It's actually from America because I ordered a random set. And it's like some dude singing in the shower. It's bizarre. And he's like,
kind of creepy.
I don't gotta work tomorrow, so I'm gonna party. It's really bizarre.
We gotta listen to it. That's gonna be good for your TikTok.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
My super chat was empty. I love the consistent content, guys. This is from Avin Evra. Question: any information on Xi believing he is Qin Shi Huang or the Dragon family? Nah, that's more speculation. I think he's just a powerful wanker.
I mean, the thing is, Xi Jinping has consolidated all the power.
I mean,
he
doesn't need to pretend to be anything.
What you need to understand, everyone, a little bit about Chinese politics here is Deng Xiaoping figured it out, okay? He put the terms in place because he saw what happened with Mao Zedong. And when Mao got too much power and just kept going and reached a point where the power corrupted him and he became this crazy, disgusting man who, basically genocided, destroyed Chinese culture and did all this stuff. He realized that was the problem, is that too much power corrupts, absolutely, So he put in these terms. And so you saw these terms happening. I remember
still a dictatorship.
Yeah, it's still terrible, but at least there's not too much power in one man's hands.
Correct. For too long.
Yeah, and that's why you saw this opening up of China. That's the time we were there.
It was liberalizing.
During Hu Jintao, and it was great because that one person is in power. He's a dictator, but only for a certain amount of time.
And he was also quite weak.
Yeah.
Which is great for China.
So, yeah, exactly. So basically, when it's the end of his term, somebody else takes over. So you don't get this progression like it's been happening with Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping got in power and he's like, nah, screw that term limit stuff. I want all the power.
And then
I want to be
consolidated everything
yeah.
inside the CCP so he can do absolutely
So there
everything.
are no checks and balances for this man. He can do what he wants and say anything, and the whole country must comply. And that's why we've seen this crazy situation happen now, because there are no checks and balances within the CCP anymore. It's just him and his little underlings, and they will do whatever he says.
We left China because of Xi Jinping.
Yes.
In more ways than we can imagine. Like,
Absolutely.
We didn't know it would end up like that. But Xi Jinping really turned China around in the wrong direction.
Yes, it was going in the right direction,
Right.
and now it's going back to the crazy power-hungry Mao days, and you're
Yes.
going to see it continue. The fact that government employees have to every day go on their phone and do a little Xi Jinping thought quiz, and pass it every day. It's like a religion.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's a seriously scary dictatorship now.
Yeah, it's horrible. Anyway,
Mike, is it true that most authoritarian evil uncle CCP officials are those who grew up and were educated in the Mao era? Are CCP officials born in the 80s or later any different ideologically? Most of them are old power under Mao for sure. Newer, younger people, if they join the CCP, it's probably just to make their life easier. Because if you're in the CCP, it's just easier.
Sure.
It's just easy. It's easier way of life. You get benefits and things. Ideologically, definitely different.
Very different. Yeah.
They're not raised under Maoism and stuff. Unfortunately, they have to tolerate the current situation, the current system. So they have to effectively be the same in action, which sucks.
Yeah, I feel like our generation of Chinese people have it the worst because
they were the ones that saw things change.
Yes, but not only that, they wanted change. That's why
what
we
I'm
had the
saying.
Tiananmen Square uprising and stuff. That generation kind of is lost in a way. You've got the original people under Mao who just a terrible bunch, really. And then you've got that generation that really wanted change but didn't get it. And then you've got this new generation which has just been brainwashed into thinking that what Xi Jinping and what the Communist Party does is correct. So the guys our age are kind of stuck in the middle.
They're the most liberal for sure.
You got this younger crowd who are just fiercely nationalist, and this older crowd that are fiercely nationalist, and they're somewhere in between saying like, I guess we're gonna have to be fiercely nationalist.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Thank you for the enlightenment from JMR's desk.
Well,
very
generous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Would love to come to California and take you guys out to dinner and chill.
That'd be awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, looking forward to it someday. Lucas Linder, Crazy Viking. The gold bar has a queen on front and dragon on the back. Interesting.
Okay.
Probably for Chinese, because Chinese people love to buy gold.
Well, I mean, and Australia is owned by China pretty much, so we know that already. It's one of the things.
Yeah, last one. We're going over time here.
Yeah.
Eric Yondel, Winston, you did a video of Jayo with a slide in the background showing his guide to response videos. Was that something he really posted? Very Machiavellian he is. Very Machiavellian he is.
No, that was a comment someone posted, and I just thought it was hilarious because it actually nailed it to a T.
It was a little creepy
I
they
guess
pulled
that,
Anyway.
Wow, that's a long question and answers. We'll try not to do that again where we save our...
We're all caught up.
Yeah, we are all caught up. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you, really, for joining us. This is very important that you're here with us discussing these important things.
Join us every week.
Yeah, we can't wait to see you next week. And please, tomorrow, my video, as soon as it's out, please go watch it before it gets banned again by these Chinese copyright trolls. Because it's important.
You watch mine today?
Yeah, check out his Wolf Wanker Turd Warrior video. It's funny. Yeah, can't wait to see you.